Okay, year 10. So this is a quick little tutorial on programming devices. So this is going to run through what you basically need to do today. Now, first thing I'd like you all to do is if you just Google Microbit make code, okay? When you Google that, you should come up with this here, okay? It'll be the first hit on there on Google. Once you click it, it takes you straight to this page. Now, I've already signed in. Just sign in or sign up with your school email. That's perfectly fine. What it'll do is it will save all of your other projects that you've ever made on Microbit. I'm going to give you a quick little tutorial now on just some basics on Microbit and how to do some simple coding. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to new project here because we're going to do our new project. On these slides, we've got two things that we can do, a timer program and a sequence. We're going to start with a timer. Okay, create. You're going to start off with a screen that looks like this. Now that's loading up a little virtual Microbit there, and we can test it out on here. Now, reading through the first bit, we're going to do a simple little program to start off with. It says here, the program should achieve the following set of instructions. Wait for a switch to be pressed. We're going to use switch A over here. Okay. It says once the switch is pressed, turn on an LED output. So we're going to use our LED outputs, which is this part here. And then we're going to wait for 10 seconds and then turn off the LED output. So there's a couple of things I'm going to do here. It gives me some standard block pieces that I'm just going to delete. I don't want them right now. What I'm going to start off with is an input. Okay. Now we said there, once the switch is pressed, okay, so on button A being pressed, I'm going to drag that into there. This is a really nice simple program to use. We can go to JavaScript later on to get the actual script code for it, but I'm going to use the blocks here because this is really simple to use and simple to understand. Okay, I know that on button A pressed, something is going to happen. I'm going to add some bits into there afterwards. So I've done that. Now, as it said here, we want an LED light to turn on for 10 seconds. I'm going to go to my inputs here. Sorry, not my inputs, my LEDs. Now, each one of these little dashes here is a separate little LED light. So I'm going to plot the one that I want to use. I'm going to use the middle one here. So the first row is 0, 0, then it goes 1, 1, 2, 2, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to use the middle one there, which will be 2 and 2. You can put them anywhere. Doesn't matter where you put them. I'm just going to plot a simple LED light in the middle there. So on button A being pressed, so when I turn the button on, an LED light will turn on. That's the first part of my timer programming. But if you read here, it says obviously switch being turned on, LED turns on, but then we wait for 10 seconds and it will turn itself off. So I need to go into something else here. I can go down to my basic, go down to the bottom, and there's a pause. Now, these pauses is in milliseconds, but if you go down here, it will give us lots of different options. I want, the top one I had there was a 5, but I want it to actually pause for 10 milliseconds. So I'm just going to type a 10 there. So 10,000 milliseconds is 10 seconds. So I've got my button A is pressed. It tells me which one of the lights I want it to turn on. And then afterwards it pauses, or sorry, it stays on for 10 milliseconds. But then I want it to do something afterwards. After it has stayed on for 10 milliseconds, I want it to, here we go, clear my screen. I want it to turn off. So simple little timer coding. Button A is pressed, a light will turn on. It will stay turned on for 10 seconds or 10,000 milliseconds, and then it will turn off. I click it, that's going to stay on for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, following the coding, it's going to turn itself off. There you go, it's turned itself off. That is the first step of a timer program using Microbit. It is really intuitive, really nice, simple piece of coding to use. And if you want to convert that into JavaScript, you just click this tab here and you've got it all there. You can go down, you can convert it to Python. I know a number of you have been talking about use Python in, I think it's your science lessons, or maybe your computing lessons as well. You can then convert this code and transport it to any other programs that you use. That's something you can do as well. There's something else you can do here as well. I've just done a bog standard light turns on the plot bit here. But there's some fun you can have here. If you go into basic We've got, I'll come back to that in a minute. It says show icon. If I take that one out there, I'm going to delete plot here. I'm going to throw that one in instead. Now I've got lots of little options here of little kind of fun, kind of little pixeled pictures. We've got, oh, it's the ghost from Pac-Man. I'm going to use him. I like him. So instead, I can still have an LED light turn on, but I'm going to draw a little picture here. So click it, ghost from Pac-Man. He'll stay on for 10 seconds, and then afterwards he'll turn off. This is the same bit of coding, but you can have a little bit more fun with it by doing stuff like that. You can even go up to basic and you can draw your own image, whatever you want it to be. I don't know, something random. So you can draw one of your own pictures if you want to. We can get rid of that. You can put one of our own pictures in, and it will still turn an LED light on for 10 seconds. And then afterwards, it will turn itself off. And so that's a simple bit of coding that you had there at the beginning. What we are now going to do on the, let me go back to something basic here. Right, so that was my basic output there. So that was a simple timer. Now the next slide had the idea of you kind of taking it one step further. Now that should have been nice, simple and quick for you to be able to do. Get a little screenshot of that and in its JavaScript if you want to, and whack it onto your worksheet for the first bit here. That's the first task already done. If you've still got time and that wasn't too difficult, you can have a crack at this second one here. So you can go back to your previous screen, you can make a new one, don't call it timer, call it sequence. I'm just going to use the same one here for ease of access for you guys in the tutorial. It says here, if you still have time, obviously, try to do this one. So 4 LEDs should light one at a time, each when the sequence is pressed. So this time when I press A, it's not just one light that will turn on for 10 seconds. I'm going to have 4 lights that will turn on, one after the other, each for 2 seconds. Okay. So what I essentially need here is, I'm going to duplicate this, but I'm going to take that bit out there because I want to use that again. Let's get rid of that and duplicate it again. It's a nice quick way of doing it. Right, now I have 4 LEDs here. Now I can, let me go back to the basic plotting an LED because I don't want to confuse people. Right, so I've got my 4 LEDs. Now the first LED is at 0.00, which is that top corner there. I'm just going to quickly, just as a quick little demonstration, show you changing them all to 1, 1, 2, 2, and then 3, 3. They don't have to be this. You can literally plot them any way you want to, just to show you that they're 4 different ones. We're going to change that back down to 2 seconds on each one. And if we read through here, so with 4 LED lights, one at a time, each when the switch is pressed, the time that each LED should remain lit is for 2 seconds, and then a reset function should be programmed that restarts the sequence when the switch is, when a second switch is pressed. Now we're going to bring in switch number B, switch B here, not number, switch B. Right, so I'm going to go back into my inputs. I'm going to bring another one of these in. I'm going to change that A to a B. And I'm going to go down to my advanced here. There are lots of things you can have a play around here. And if you want to in your spare time, please do. The more you know about this, the more fun you can have with it and the more things you can do for it, especially going forward into year 11 when you start doing coding for some of your own pieces. Whatever you end up designing, you can create anything in it. Now, here we go, reset. I want that reset there to go in there because, let's wait for that to finish up. Right, here we go. Now, if I've done this correctly, which I have, when I press A, it's going to do my first LED light, 2 seconds later my second one, 2 seconds later my third one, 2 seconds later my fourth one, okay? But we've also got this additional bit in there where if we press B, it's going to cut the whole sequence off. So I start the sequence, and halfway through I decide I don't want it, it's going to reset and stop. And then I can go back and restart the sequence all over again. And that's it. That's all it is for the second part there, the sequence programming. Now again, You can, if you want to have a little bit of fun with this, you can create some of your own images, or you can bring different icons in. So I'm going to do something like this just because it's a bit fun. Let's have that there instead. I'm going to do 4 different icons here, just so it changes to, oh, that's a little person there, why not? And where am I? One more. Is that an umbrella? Looks like an umbrella. Right, so this time, again, I'm going to have my 4 LED lights turn on, but they're all going to be different pictures. So I've got a heart that turns on for 2 seconds, then it turns into an angry face, I guess that is, a little kind of man, and an umbrella. And again, I can do that same thing. I can run that sequence and I can interrupt it at any point in time by resetting it and then start it all over again. And that's the sequence programming. So that's those 2 slides there. Follow the instructions, have a go at that, see how you do. And then if you can play around with any more of those bits in your own time if you want to, please do. Get a little bit more experienced in this. This is how we can make codes on microbits. Again, get a screenshot of that second one, put it into here. Screenshot the JavaScript as well. That's sometimes a good little bit to put in there. Whack it in this space here, one or the other, it doesn't matter, either or, and then just answer the questions on them. And that's all you need to do for today's lesson. Go ahead, have a play around with Microbit, learn to do a simple timer program and a sequence program as the instructions show in there, and then you're all done.